Hi, my name is CJ, and we're going to talk about the Bible. Calm down, calm down. Whatever you thought I was going to talk about, probably not it. Whatever road you think I was going to go on, that's not it. This video is solely a product of my curiosity and too much time and a working camera, phone, and nobody to talk to, and also for the fact that I haven't really made interesting videos. Not for you, but for myself. You're just a camera. But yeah, besides the games I play, there are other things I'm very interested in. Movies, music, art, but certainly not that tricycle. There are many weird Bible things. The Bible is basically just a book. No matter what you think, the Bible is a book. And just like all books, there are, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get in trouble for this, there are imperfections, especially if it's something that's so old. 2,000 years old, right? I think so. For reference, I personally believe in deism. I was born as a Catholic, but I prefer deism more these days. So, my goal is basically to find the weirdest Bible verse, or actually no. My goal is to find weird Bible verses and see just how weird things can go. You know, I'm gonna rank things basically on my perception. So, I should keep a list. I should probably keep a list. List maker online. So how I'm going to rank these is basically, one is weird plus fascinating because there are many shades of weird, just like there are many shades of mostly everything. Weird, and for those who don't actually know how I define weird, the gist of weirdness is basically strangeness. That's why the scale I'm gonna go for is, one would be the weird plus fascinating scale, because of course strange things can be also really fascinating things, you know, things that actually get your mind buzzing, curiosities tingling. And then there's the completely other side where weird and deeply concerning. Basically it's weird plus what the so that's basically the entire scale. So here in the middle, number 5 is going to be the not deeply concerning. Let's just make it mildly concerning. So basically there's the weird good, the weird not so good. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Please, just a disclaimer, the intentions of this video are for purely self-educational purposes or my entertainment. You can call it either way. It's not to offend anybody. It's just for my buzzing mind. And this isn't working. So, online notepad, how about that? Online notepad. This is just going to serve as a reference for me. So, weird Bible verses. In column number 1 would be the verse itself, because they have the number things, right? The chapter and the numbers. Is that correct? The meaning, which is going to be a basic paraphrase of what I think the verse means. And then my ranking, which is 1 to 10. Let's go down this rabbit hole. Weird flex. Weird flex, but okay. Nice. Weird Bible. Okay. Here we go. Weird Bible stories. Ooh. Wait, hold on. And right off the bat, 11 kinds of Bible verses Christians love to ignore. Again, I like to believe in deism, and I don't want to offend anybody, but for education. So we're here on Ranker. Got a fancy little image of Adam and Eve. How y'all doing? I hope you're doing good. Top 20 Bible passages to use against fundamentalists. I'm in the wrong side. I'm probably in the wrong side. I really don't want to offend anyone. Disclaimer, this list isn't meant as a hateful gesture towards Christians, but a way to fight irrational responses in debates with fun facts. Fun. Number 1, non-virgins are to be stoned, as in with rocks. Why is Lana Del Rey here? Okay, hold on. What? But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house. And the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. What? Hold on. Deuteronomy, chapter number Okay. Deuteronomy 20, chapter 22, verse 20 to 21. So basically, if you're not a virgin, you should be stoned to death. Well, I mean, we're talking about 2,000 years ago, in a way. People were pretty conservative, so that's actually pretty reasonable in that time. You know, the fact that I'm actually defending this, no, that's a bad. Hold on, let me just double check. So we're in BibleGateway.com right now, and New International Version. Wait. If, however, the charge is true, and no proof of the young woman's virginity can be found, she shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death. This is worse. She has done an outrageous thing in Israel by being promiscuous while still in her father's house. You must purge the evil from among you. Hold on, wait. We got a bunch of old books, a bunch of religious books here that the family has collected over the decades. And, okay, I'm guessing that the new international versions, and for context, we have the typical Catholic Bibles and Mormon Bibles and other religious things, and we also have the Quran right here, down here. You can't see it, but it's there. I think you saw it. But, I'm just checking the receipts real quick, because something as petty as this can't be in something as saintly and something as all encompassing, all loving as this. 22, 31. Oh my god, it's the same. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door for Christ. Oh god, this is... I'm gonna sneeze. There. Oh god, it's all... Oh god. Why? What? How come this doesn't have any table of contents? Oh, here we go. Deuteronomy. There we go. I still can't believe that something as petty as a woman's virginity is talked about in the Bible. Really? Okay, so for future clarifications, these are both, I don't know the right terminology, but they're basically the same. So I'm just going to use this one because this is smaller and lighter. This is going to make me sneeze my lungs out. Unless the Mormon book is, nah. Turn days. The fact that something as mundane, or something that's as private as a woman's virginity is a priority in the Bible is pretty weird. But and I'm also considering the fact that this was 2,000 years ago, when basically the more dominant species is the male human, or not dominant, no, the more dominant in society is the male, unfortunately. So I guess in a way, Deuteronomy, put that there. No females, no virgins only until marriage, right? Probably. I don't think that's fascinating at all, but I don't think that's WTF material. I'm gonna put that around maybe I'll give that a 5. No, wait. They're supposed to be stoned to death. Christ must have not agreed with this, right? He's a chill dude. Right? Okay, I'm gonna put it as 7. Slightly in the middle of concerning and WTF. There. Next one. And I'm sorry that Lana Del Rey. I don't know why Lana Del Rey is here. I mean, she's fantastic. I just read a little bit of the paragraph here at the bottom, and it brings up a great point. In order to enforce a rule like this, churches need to have a regular hymen checks. I mean, there are many ways to tell if a woman is a virgin or not. But the most common way is to see if the hymen, which is... Oh my god, I'm gonna disappoint all doctors and nurses and people with biological knowledge. It's basically, I think it's a thin skin basically inside the vagina. And usually penetration breaks the hymen and comes out as a blood-looking substance. That's a common sign of loss of virginity, but not the only sign. But the fact, I didn't even think about this. So how would you check on a woman's hymen? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to, where is it? I'm gonna bump it up to 8. Simply just for that. The fact that they have to check a woman's hymen. Wait, what age does that start? 12? 9? Because puberty sometimes starts at 9 years. Okay. Alright. Number 2. Deformed people cannot approach God. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach. A blind man, or a lame, or he that hath a flat nose, or anything superfluous, or a man that is broken-footed, or broken-handed, or crook-backed, or a dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, or be scurvy, or scabbed, or have his stones broken, no man that hath a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come nigh to offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire. He hath a blemish, he shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. I can't even. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 18. Okay, let's see what it looks like in the New International Version. What is it down my hair? What is that? What is that? Wait, what? No man who has any defect may come near. No man who is blind or lame, disfigured or deformed. No man with a crippled foot or hand, or who is a hunchback or a dwarf, or who has any eye defect, or has festering or running sores, or damaged testicles. No descendant of Aaron the priest. Who is this? Who has any defect is to come near to present the food offerings to the Lord. He has a defect, you must not come. Who is this? Okay, I'm saying it's a priest. It's a priest. Did a priest get funky in the Bible and just had some unfortunate offsprings? Probably. Good God. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I'm just so confused. He has a defect. He must not come near to offer the food of his God. Jesus Christ. I mean, the basic gist of the Bible is that God loves everybody. But this immediately says that if you don't meet a certain standard of good looking, or just basically standard looking, you are gone. From something as superficial as a flat nose to once again with the broken stones. Woman may be inferior in God's eyes, but he sure knows how to make a man feel worthless. I told you there's some good material in the Bible. How to use. If there's even one disabled person with a serious physical problem or deformity in the church, you need to remind the churchgoers that he needs to be removed if anyone's going to get any kind of legitimate praying, singing, and donating. Hold on. Who is this writer? Who's the writer of this? Ivana Wynn. No deformities. I'm gonna give that a weird and concerning vote. I'm gonna give it a 5. It's not so... Oh, wait. Can you just imagine an entire group of people just shunned away from God? Actually, yes. I know I don't have any right because I'm completely able. I have no deformities. I have no physical incapabilities. But the fact that an entire group in this period of time was just shunned away because of how they are. Probably even, especially if it's something that they couldn't control. For all intents and purposes, a person's look can be controlled to a certain level. But if you were born with something and you just can't control it whatsoever, like I have a hairy body. My armpit, my legs, pubes, everything. Even this thing is super thick. I know for a fact that I can't control it. So why would I bother trying to deny it or change it? And why would I bother changing it for someone else? It's just so touchy and hinky. I think it deserves a 10. Moving on. Number 3. Giving birth to a daughter makes you unclean for 66 days. I get that God made man first, according to the Bible. But why bother making woman if this is how... Oh, this was 2,000 years ago. This was 2,000 years ago. Okay. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 60 days. Alright. It says here, people should hold signs that say God hates women because it really will be the most accurate Christian sign you could ever make. God made the one thing women were actually appreciated for, the ability to give birth to life, a dirty act. Why 66? So basically, if... Oh, this has something to do with people desperately wanting sons. Not just people, even men specifically. Dog! Oh, God. No! Okay, New International Version. If she gives birth to a daughter for 2 weeks, the woman will be unclean as during her period. Then she must wait 66 days to be purified from her bleeding. Wait, is that scientifically correct? I'm not exactly aware of how pregnancy works, but isn't the period of after pregnancy, a woman's fluids just generally keep gushing and gushing out? I can't speak from experience, but I do remember one story from an old co-worker who, after she gave birth to one of her children, or I think it was after she gave birth to her first child, sometimes peeing, sometimes menstruating would just gush out. So is this verse just basically saying facts? I mean, if it was meant to be metaphorical, then that's just nasty, because you're basically saying that if a woman gives birth to a girl, she nasty. But if a woman gives birth to a boy, she good. What if a woman gives birth to a boy, then later realizes she's a girl? Questions. Damn it, I keep forgetting not to use the tab button. Okay, so baby girl equals nasty. I'm going to give that maybe a 6, because it doesn't exactly physically affect women, or it doesn't, it's not so, what's the word for it? It's not so endangering. It's basically just a count of shame and humiliation. It's still pretty offensive. I mean, it's still pretty, definitely concerning, but not that much that I don't know how many verses we're going to do. In just this page alone, we already have 20. So maybe I'll make around 5 first, because this little thing is packed with so many juicy stuff. I think I worded that wrong. It's just many fascinating and weird, strange things that I don't think people talk about that much. Number 4. A woman's punishment for defending her husband is equals to cut off her hand. Let's see the specifics. Why is this the photo? When men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one draweth near for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets, then thou shalt cut off her hand. Thine eye shall not pity her. Wait, that's we need to unpack all of that. For to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and take him by the secrets, then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her. So basically it's saying, if a woman decides to defend her husband, when let's say this woman and her husband go out to a bar from 2,000 years old. When a woman and her husband go to somewhere, and the husband ends up in a fight with some other guy, and she decides to defend her husband by grabbing her in the balls, anybody has the right to cut off her hand, that same hand that grabbed the balls. That's just sad. Why would you? That's incredibly brave, but also stupid. That's the best word. Hold on. Deuteronomy again. Deuteronomy and Leviticus are the weirdest places we've been so far. If 2 men are fighting and the wife of one of them... See, it was right. If 2 men are fighting and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband from his assailant, and she reaches out and seizes him by his private parts, you shall cut off her hand. Show her no pity. Excusez-moi. She went out of her way, not just to punch him in the face or kick him in the balls. She went out of her way to aim with her eyes, acquire the target, project the weapon to that target, and grab it with no hesitation. And nobody should hesitate about getting rid of that hand. Why? I mean, this sounds so much like a product of toxic masculinity or being super insecure about masculinity that a woman could do that. I mean, okay, how about if a man did it? How about if a man chooses to do the same technique? Should anybody not hesitate cutting off his hand? I don't know. Do what you want, God. Invite what you please. No touch. No. Junk touch equals cut hand. I mean, how many times do you think it would be an occurrence that two men were fighting, and specifically one of them had a wife that had her own balls to grab at those balls? I mean, 2,000 years ago, would that be an issue? Maybe. I don't know how prone to physical violence people used to be compared to now. That's actually a fascinating subject to think about. Is humanity much less violent or more violent? What's the scale of humanity? What is the scale of violence in humanity from 2,000 years ago to today? That's a nice subject, but it's basically just offensive to people. And it's basically just offensive to, I want to say women, but I also think that if, let's say, if the woman's husband saw what she did and she was so proud of her, yeah, go wife, who kick his ass and all that, she loses a hand because of that, he'd be pretty offended too. Unless he's also insecure about his masculinity and believes that the woman's role is not to do that, only men should do it because men are strong and women are not, they are supposed to stay in their place. I think I'll give this one a 5, because circumstantially it's not probably that often, unless I'm completely wrong about the rates of violence from 2,000 years ago. You know, this is kind of fun. I like this idea. Last one for today, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to make another one, but last one for today. If your brother dies, you need to bang his wife. Why is it a picture of Liam and Chris Hemsworth here? Master Moses wrote unto us, if a man's brother die, and leave his wife behind him, and leave no children, that his brother should take his wife, and raise up seed unto his brother. "2,000 years ago. Did people take the word of the Bible as law back then? Because if they did, does that mean that because of this verse, it was extremely necessary that if your husband happened to have a bro, your husband died, you have to get along with the bro and make him your new hubby? Was that optional, or was that like if you don't do it, you're sentenced to death? Here's the new version. Teacher, they said, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife but no children, the man must marry the widow and raise... Oh, so it's the man who's... Wait, if a man's brother dies and leaves his brother should take his... So it's the man who's obligated. Oh, that's... I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is actually fascinating. Only because it's the first verse, the first weird verse I saw here that is directly affecting a man's responsibilities. Well, compared to the other one, but this one, it's if again we're taking the Bible as the word of law at this time. If you're a man, you had a bro who had a waifu, and then that your bro happened to die, you have to be the new hubby. You have to be the new hubby. Is that the law? Was that the law? Okay. Oh my God. Picture that. A grieving widow is visited by her husband's brother to have intercourse the night of the funeral. Oh God, my mind just made it worse. I mean, at first I was thinking that, okay, sure. I was thinking of the scenario where the brother doesn't want it, like the brother pities the woman, and this is my bro's wife, I can't just do this. But then it hit me that what if the bro is actually into it and uses this verse to his advantage? That's mildly disturbing, God. And what if the widow doesn't want it? God, you made this. Well, according to what Christians and Catholics say. And it's simply because if they have no kids. Yeah, that's another caveat, if they had no kids. So Mark chapter 12 verse 19. Bros before... Why did I spell it like that? Bros before waifu. I'm gonna give that... It's either one or the other. I'm not sure. Because it all depends on the brother. If he has a good sense of morality, or if he thinks, again, if he's very devout Catholic or Christian or believer or whatever you want to call it, or if he's just a dick. I'll give that an 8 for now, because it can easily be taken advantage of. And I guess that's all 5 of it. I can't believe that all of these, and it's only just 5 of them. I specifically typed weirdest, not offensive, not the word scariest or whatever. I typed weirdest, and all these Bible verses so far, they haven't reached the one rating that I've been waiting for, the one that I really want. Maybe I should have flipped the scale around, because 1 should be the weird, the WTF, and then the 10 should be the weird and fascinating. Damn it! I should probably reverse the scale. So looking back at this list now, all the verses here have not reached the fascinating scale I want. It's mostly just concerning and WTF. In the very last place we have, if you touch the junk, no touch. That was the safest one. The next is, if you have a baby girl, you nasty. Next one is, bros before wives. The most WTF weird was in this one, where if your daughter isn't a virgin, then you have free range to beat her up with stones. The last one is, if you aren't hashtag woke up like this, hashtag Instagram famous basically in those days, you are going to hell, basically. So that's all I have for this video. I'm not really sure what this video's reaction is going to be, but I genuinely like this. I really like this because this is educational. This is talking about something I actually want to talk about. Apologies for the background noise. I live in a noisy home, even when there's no people behind me. Especially if you look at the black void that is just around my room and it's constantly sucking in my hair, even though it's pushing it back sometimes. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys have a nice day. Stay curious.